Hello, welcome to the video today. Today we're looking at setting up a chat room on a paid for hosting account. I have a hosting account with a company called Hostinger. I'll put all the links to everything in the description of our video here, and you can look at everything and try it for yourself. Anyways, we're going to start off with, we're looking up, this is what our end product is going to be. We type in our name, choose a color for our content, and click login, and that gets us into the chat room. How this came to be is I went to phpclasses.org and found this Ajax-driven simple chat and downloaded it. In order to download it, you have to set up an account on PHP classes, which is a fairly simple process, and about all you get is some emails that you may not want to have for too long, but then again, they may be interesting emails talking about what new things are on PHP classes. So you can tell them you don't want the emails anymore at any point in time. So it's not a big ordeal to get onto the site to download this particular program. And so if you click here on download, it puts the whole thing on your local computer. Once it's on your local computer, I'm going to open up my browser and come down to this. This is everything in the chat folder. So to start with, we have an index.php, and if I take a look at that, this is what you get in your editor. Now, if you run this as is, you immediately get an error message about the last line down here because the modern configuration file for PHP does not use, this is what's called a short tag for PHP, which is just the angle bracket and the question mark. And so in order for this to work without any error messages, you have to write PHP in here with small letters. The other thing is up here on the beginning of it, you will get a warning message saying that username is not defined. Session username. So if you want to avoid this issue, we have to add in here another left parentheses, an exclamation point, and the function is set. That means if session username is not set, and you take out the equal sign and that, all that stuff, and then you have now a workable program without a warning and an error message. Now, what I had done after I ran this a few times is there's a few colors. I didn't try every color, but I did try yellow. And yellow is way too light, and no one will be able to read what you wrote in the chat room if you choose yellow, because the background is white on the interface. So things to consider changing for your own chat room. There are no icons showing, just the nickname of the person in the color that they chose. So it's an interesting first step though. So this is the startup program, which asks you to put in your username and click on submit, and the submit logs you in. And once you've done that, every time it reloads, it comes back to the second part here in the else statement. And then it shows the chat room example. It opens the script, which is jQuery, and then it opens a JavaScript called main, and it links a style sheet. And then in the body, it has a form and a div called Ajax form, and a view Ajax rather, and then a div called Ajax form. And the Ajax form has a text field called chat input. It has an input type, which is a button, and the value on that is send, and that has an ID on it. And that's about it. Everything else happens inside jQuery and the main JS. So this is primarily functioning with the JavaScripts, which feel free to jump into those and see what they do, and figure out if you need to change anything to change it. And leave me a comment if you do, because I'd love to hear from anyone making changes to this. So anyway, once all that is completed, the other thing you have to do is you have to open a file in here called config. And what we need to do is to change this to be the local host. You have to have a database name. You have to have a username. And I'm going to show this to you momentarily on the web server, because that has, this one is my local. This is the way it came down. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to come back over to so here's my index file. I've made the change up here, and I've made the change on the last line. And if I come back to the config file, the SQL server is localhost, and the database is the database I set up. The username is the username I set up, and the password is the password that I set up on my account on Hostinger. So I will come in here, log in. I'll show you the steps that you need to do if you want to do this for yourself. Oh, and by the way, the Hostinger usually has a very, very nice sale going. These are usually for a number of years that you get the low price like this. But it's still not a lot of money to invest into having a good amount of time of what you can do for your own website. And they give you a free domain with that too, which is worth, $12. I think currently is $12 or $13 is the going rate. And if I click on login, I get back into my account here. And if I click on websites, once you have everything all set up, you could add a website, which is what I did to come up with chat.introducingphp.com. And if you go on to here, if we go into the dashboard, we have the file manager, File Manager comes to a selection with the public HTML. You have to go into this folder. This is public HTML is where the website exists and all the files from the website exist. And what I did was to unzip all the files in the Ajax chat zip file that I downloaded. And I put it all in this folder with all of its subdirectories, and then went through and I made changes to index.php as we were just looking at, and config.php, which we were also just looking at. And the config.php is all the information which I have pulled out when I set up the database for this particular project. So here is my, and once you've done that, you have your PHP, your MySQL database set up with a username. You set up a password for it. And what I'm going to do next is enter the PHP myadmin. And I already did this, which was to create a chat table inside the database. And the information for that is there's a chat SQL file that was unzipped when you got your zip file. So if I look at that, you'll see down here, this is the table structure for chat. So if I come down here and highlight all of this and copy it, and now this is looking at that file. If I come over to SQL, I can do this. And paste. And I have, if I come down to the bottom and say go, that would try to create this file, which I already did, so I don't need to do it again. So if I come back to structure, it shows me the chat file, all the fields and the data within it. If I click on structure, it shows me the structure of that file. And PHP myadmin is a SQL administrator written entirely in PHP. So these are the amazing things that you can do for yourself in PHP if you ever desire. So now I have all these things on here. And if you guys want, after looking through the video here, making everything work, I'm going to log in as admin. And I'm going to choose navy for a color. And now I'm in the chat room. I'm going to come down here and say hello. And I'm going to click on send. So there I am. So you can come into the chat room at any time and I will watch for you and we can chat. And you can ask me any questions that you like, and you can leave comments on the YouTube video as well. And if you're not watching this on Friday the 3rd at 3 o'clock, then I will get back to you when I can. So let's see. Did we miss anything? I think that pretty much does it. I will put all those notes and the links into the videos comment section, description section. So take a look at the links, try it out, and let me know what you think, and we'll see you again on the next video. Take care. Have a great weekend.